Hello, I'm Tiffany Alper, and today I'm going to talk about the five-factor model discussed by McCrae and Costa. Neuroticism. Neuroticism is a chronic emotional instability and tendency to experience psychological distress. A high-end example of this would be mood, anxiousness, insecurity. When I'm around women who seem more outgoing than myself, I become very insecure. My heart starts to beat, and I just don't feel as good about myself as I should feel. On the low end example, when you're calm, relaxed, and stable, when I'm around people I know, I become very calm and relaxed, and I'm able to be myself. The second factor of the model is extroversion, which is a focus of feelings, thoughts, and energy outside of the self, especially others. On the high end example of this is when I go to the town's farmer's market. I am always ready to talk, discuss about how good the food is or the fruits or the vegetables is, and meet new people. It's just something I like to do. I'm very assertive. On the low end, which is considered introversion, I can relate to that by when I'm attending a big event, I become very shy due to my anxiety. Or for an example, if I'm with a friend and we're going to hang out with a group of her friends, I tend to become very quiet, very shy and quiet. I just don't know what to say half the time, and I don't want to feel like I said the wrong thing. The third factor, according to Robert McCrae and Paul Costa's five-factor model of personality development, is openness to experience. This is seeking out and basically seeking out new experiences, whether cultural, intellectual, or aesthetic. A high-end example of this, from my perspective or my point of view, would be I love trying different kinds of foods. But not only that, I often think of different food to create. So when it comes to being creative, that's how I am creative. But on the low end of openness to experience, when I was growing up, I never liked art class. I hated it. I hated going to it. I hated the mess. I hated it all. I'd always dread it due to my lack of creativeness when it came to drawing and things like that. So that's what we got on that. The fourth factor would be agreeableness, which is the tendency to behave in nice, cooperative, and unselfish ways, with the opposite end being disagreeableness. I can give you a high-end example of this agreeableness in my own personal way is when it comes to others and their feelings of depression. I am a very understanding person when it comes to this because of my own experience with depression, and I can relate to people and those feelings. So being able to understand someone is very, very important. It's a very important trait to have. On the other hand, on the low end of agreeableness is disagreeableness. And how I can relate that to myself is my father says mean things to me often, and his harsh remarks rub off on me. So I don't like to look at myself as a harsh person, but sometimes I will come off that way because of the way my father had treated me when I was a kid. Okay. And then the last one, the fifth one, which is probably one of the most interesting to myself, would be consciousness. I find myself to be a very conscious person. I always want to make sure everything's right. I want to be sure to tell what needs to be told. Consciousness is the tendency to be responsible, organized, and hardworking. So, on the high end, an example of consciousness for me would be at a young age, I took care of my 2 younger brothers. I would cook for them, I would clean for them, I would play games with them, I would help them with their homework. And looking towards the future and that moment, it made me become a very responsible person. Not only responsible for myself, but being responsible for other people. And on the low end, I could be wrong on this, but how I feel is that I've never related to unconsciousness because I have obsessive compulsive disorder. And in my life, in my world, everything must be clean, neat, and organized in my life. If it's not, I will be very distraught. I will be very anxious. I won't be able to relax. So consciousness is a big word, a big highlight of my life because I am a very, very conscious person. I always have been. And I just like, in my mind, always is telling me, yes, do this. No, do this. Yes, this is good. No, this is good. And having a conscience is probably one of the best mental things you can have for yourself and to get through life, because life is very hard, especially when it comes to decision making, which can alter one's life. Decisions, good or bad. Well, thank you for listening. I hope you got a little insight of the five-factor model discussed by McCrae and Costa. Have a good day, everyone.